Thank you very much. My name is Steve Weber. I'm a faculty member at the School of Information and the Department of Political Science. About a year and a half ago, we began with the gracious funding from the Hewlett Foundation, a new research institute on the campus called the Center for Long-Term Cybersecurity. And similar to Kostas's description of CITRIS, we also define our agenda quite broadly. When we talk about cybersecurity, we think of essentially the range of issues that rise to the level of something that people would define as security anywhere that human beings and digital technologies interact. So in our view, we're interested in issues everywhere from the sort of core network and machine security issues that are on the agenda and people's very short-term vision and the sets of problems we read about in the newspaper every day, all the way to the much longer-term and broader societal issues that we would think of as cybersecurity because they involve security of human beings in relationship with digital networks around issues like the impact of automation and robotics on labor markets. And so with a very broad mandate like that, one of the first things that we did when we started this institute was to go around and assess the state of the field and ask people in the academic world, in government, in various business settings, around as many sort of sectors as we possibly could, where do you see the biggest problems that you can't solve that we could help with? And I'm not going to recount for you everything we learned, but I am going to recount for you one very important insight from those conversations because it was unanimous. Everybody we talked to told us the following thing. We need people, talent, and human capital. Sometimes they said people, sometimes they said talent, sometimes they said human capital. But the message was the same. And they meant different things depending on who they were. But it was the number one sort of felt requirement across many, many different dimensions. And it was really quite stunning. And so we took that on as part of our mission to try to find ways to solve that problem. And one of the things that we're very engaged in is what our executive director, Betsy Cooper, who I know you'll meet later, calls the pipeline problem. And the pipeline problem is not gender neutral, I will tell you. It's very, very easy to have abstract conversations about the nature of diversity and the lack of diversity in our field, and then you go to the RSA conference. And suddenly, it's not abstract anymore. And you look around you, and you see an incredibly talented group of people, incredibly motivated, but it only represents 50% of the population. And you ask yourself, how in the world can a society solve the kinds of problems that we feel we need to make progress against if we're going to exclude, for one or another reasons, 50% of the population? The answer to that question is we can't. And so as a social scientist, I want to always get involved in understanding why, how did we get to this place? Or what would be the consequences of greater diversity? And how would we know if we were succeeding? And all of those are really, really fundamental research questions that I would love to see answered. But when you go to the RSA conference, you kind of, for a moment, want to jump past all those questions and say, how can we make a difference? And sort of leave it at that action agenda. And I'm just going to cite one sort of interesting thing that we've learned and then turn it back to Camille. About 3 years ago now, the School of Information started a professional master's degree in data science. We're very proud of it. It's taught online. We have about 350 students in this program. And unsurprisingly, the gender imbalance among our applicants was pretty severe. We managed to get about 23 or 24% women in our first class. We pushed it up to about 28%. But it still wasn't 50, or 60 for that matter. And so we asked ourselves, where are we going wrong? And sometimes you just find that there's a fairly simple solution about which you can get a lot of leverage. What we discovered was there were a large number of women applicants to this program who had all the requirements that they needed to get in, the data structures, the algorithms, and for some reason, they didn't have Python. They just didn't have Python coding experience. So what did? We built a bridge course. We created a course to actually give people that one little piece that they needed, and then we pushed the enrollment up from 26 to I think it's now about 37%. 26 to 37 is not a huge jump, but it's a start. And so I just wanted to leave you with that thought. Sometimes it's easy. Most of the time it's really hard. Thanks, Camille.